Sports games on Nintendo Switch 2 have no right being this bad. If you are into sports games at all, or even if you're not, you'll know that the Nintendo Switch just isn't the place to play, these big sports games. Now, I'm not talking about sports games like Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, or really any goofy, kid-friendly sports game. I'm talking about the massive EA sports games, FC 26, Madden 26, like those are the big games that are finally getting brought to the Switch 2 properly that I want to touch on because there's just so much wrong with them. I find it astounding that I'm not hearing more people absolutely flame these. Like they are unacceptable. And I'm not even that big of a sports guy. I'm not a massive sports game fan. I totally understand the community and the love of these games. I totally appreciate and love how they are giving new games every year with updates and new rosters and stuff like that. There are some scummy practices that EA Sports has with their games, like the fact that they are charging over full price for these games on day one, and then a deluxe edition. Oh my goodness, these things can get pricey, over $100 for one game, a sports game at that, which has very little differences even compared to the previous year's version of the game. Regardless, yes, there are scummy practices in sports games like this, and there's a lot of things that I could talk about when it comes to what's right and what's wrong and the fairness of things, but I really want to talk about the Nintendo Switch version of these games because it is unbelievable. I don't understand how they can get away with games so bad on these systems. So I just picked up FC 26 on launch day, brand new. I paid $70 for it, a full $70. And I did the same thing for the NFL game. And the recent NBA game came out too. I'm not that big of a basketball fan, or honestly a Madden fan. Oh, Madden, not NFL. Same idea, you get it. But I bought Madden and FC 26, and they both have the same issues. First of all, let me just say what's good about them. This is the full game. Like all the content is here. Everything that you get in the PS5 version and other console versions or PC, like it's all there. All the content is there. All the rosters are changed. The mechanics are moved over, and that's really good. So there are good things to it, and if the Nintendo Switch is your only option to play these games, at least they're available. You know what I mean? At least they're available. First of all, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch version of these games, the Switch 1 versions of these games, and then I'll talk about the Switch 2 versions of these games, which is a completely other problem. But first, let me just discuss the Switch 1 versions of these games. FC 26 specifically, FIFA, like soccer, it has the same issue every year on the Nintendo Switch 1 where they release the Legacy Edition. And if you don't know what the Legacy Edition is, it's pretty much just a downgraded version. So for years and years and years on the Nintendo Switch 1, FC games, so the soccer games, they all had Legacy Editions, and pretty much all it was the same underlying game. So every game I think was FC 18 or FIFA 18, and then every year they came out with new ones, it would be the exact same game, but the only thing different would be the rosters. Only thing different are the teams and the updates that way, but nothing else gameplay-wise really changed, which means that you're essentially playing as the exact same game every single year if you bought the FIFA games on Nintendo Switch. Like nothing changes except for the roster, and maybe you're into that, sure, whatever. But that was the big problem with these games on the Nintendo Switch 1. Barely anything would change, and yeah, you just kind of got what you got with a new roster. But on top of that, the Nintendo Switch version always failed when it comes to performance and graphics. They looked absolutely horrible. The frame rate was under 30 frames per second. It just didn't look good. It wasn't a good experience. This was not the console you wanted to buy a FIFA for. Like you didn't want to play FIFA on these consoles. This year, it's a little bit different actually. I think they just ported FC 26 to the Switch 1, and I don't actually think it's the Legacy Edition. However, the game looks awful. Absolutely awful. Barely any textures, low poly models. The shadows I don't even think they have shadows. I can't believe it. That's the Switch 1 problem. Now we have the Nintendo Switch 2, which allowed us to get a lot more of these updated sports games. They look a little bit better, and things were looking good. And then I played them. First of all, Madden had like this crazy frame rate issue when it first launched. It wasn't unplayable by any means, but it was very noticeable, and it would just have frame rate dips every once in a while, which, I mean, come on, it's a Switch 2. This is a new current generation console. But the biggest issue, every current modern sports game on the Nintendo Switch 2, a brand new current gen console, which is even more powerful than a PS4, all of these games still run at 30 frames per second. How is that even allowed? 30 frames per second? The PS2 and PS3 games on worse hardware ran at 60 frames per second. Why in the world are Nintendo Switch 2 games running at 30 frames per second. The worst part is, they don't even sacrifice the graphics or anything. These games still look bad on the console. There are some segments that look good, but it's like choppy still, the resolution and models are low, and the Switch 2 version does look better than the Switch 1 version, but there is no chance these games could not run at 60 frames per second. I mean, think about it. This is like a consolidated field. Like, it's just a small field with a bunch of characters running around. In my brain, there seems to be no reason why these games can't be running at 60 frames per second, especially when you have like the PS4 game that runs, I believe that runs at 60 frames per second. I remember having an old FIFA game. I think it was FIFA 16 or FIFA 17, maybe even FIFA 18. I had it on the PS4 and that game looked great. Better than the Switch 2 version looks graphically and resolution wise, but it also ran at 60 frames per second. So the fact that the Switch 2 editions aren't even pushing 60, even if it looks worse, boggles my mind. It feels completely different. A game like this, a sports game where you kind of need, you need to be a little bit faster than, some other games. I can't even think of any right now because I'm so heated. But the reflexes with 60 frames per second and just the feel and the play style of a game like this, it needs 60 frames per second. I don't want to completely ignore the fact that these games are on here, all the content is here. They kind of ditched the legacy editions, and I'm glad they're kind of growing a little bit of a brain, but the fact that they are not even utilizing or optimizing these games at all for the Nintendo Switch 2, a brand new current gen console, which might even get the most sales long term than any other platform, is just it's just insane to me. It doesn't feel right. EA Sports, I think, are literally going to the PC versions, turning down the graphics settings and calling it a day. They are not optimizing it whatsoever because there is no reason why a game should look this bad and not be able to run at 60 frames per second. And I looked in the settings. There is no graphics or performance changes that you can do really at all. And yeah, again, the worst part is this is a full price game. This is full price. Are you kidding me? I can also just tell they're not optimized at all because of how massive every single one of these games are. I have no idea why they're so big. Maybe someone can explain it in the comments. I think it has to do with all the rosters, all of the individual character models, which, that does make sense. But these games are just so big. I don't understand how they can even get away with selling these games at such a poor quality and this expensive. The worst part is I bought Madden on the first day it released. I also bought FC26 on the first day released, but specifically with Madden because it's been out for a little bit longer, literally not even a month after its release, it goes on sale 30%. What a punch in the gut. I was livid. I literally just bought this brand new game, full price, $70, and it goes on sale. And I know this is just what happens every single year, but it's so scummy. And I know that I just bought FC26, and that's my fault for buying it. If you don't like soccer games, I mean, I do like soccer games. I actually found it quite enjoyable. I'm showing gameplay of myself playing it, and I know I play really bad, but I like this. I actually do enjoy FC. It's a good game, but to me, there's no reason why they should be this lacking in quality at this price, especially. Oh yeah, this game, both games are over 60 gigabytes as well. That's the other insane thing. I know I kind of mentioned that, but those are the exact numbers. Anyways, let me know what you think. Do you like playing sports games on the Nintendo Switch? Am I crazy? Am I missing something? Or can someone justify this? Anyways, thanks for watching. Let's have a discussion in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. See you later.